Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Adam Dorsey, a psychologist in Silicon Valley and the host of Super Psyched, a podcast dedicated to supercharging your life. Each episode contains fun, high-quality interviews with experts looking at psychology from all angles. Super Psyched is your tool to get more of what you want in your life and less of what you don't.
What's in a name? Turns out a lot. Whether you're naming a company, a project, a meeting room, a team, or a baby, names are deeply meaningful. In fact, some businesses may have failed because their name is so confusing that no one can figure out how to say it, how to spell it, or what they do. Of course, we can all think of some exceptions to that rule. Sure, there are companies that have done well despite having a bad name. But wouldn't it be better to start off on the right foot and stack the cards in favor of a better outcome? Addressing this is a recognized expert on branding and naming things. Alexandra Watkins is the owner of a business called Eat My Words and the author of a book I absolutely devoured called Hello, My Name is Awesome: How to Create Brand Names That Stick. I loved this book, as did thought leaders like Adam Grant and Nir Eyal, and I'm confident you'll love learning from her as much as I did. So listen in as Alexandra and I talk about the power of naming. Alexandra Watkins, welcome to Super Psyched.
Thanks, Adam. I am truly super psyched to be here.
I loved your book. You jammed so much high quality content in such little space. It's so densely packed. Every page of this book just rips. It's almost like a killer hit song with great content and like the most meaningful lyrics all at the same time. Somehow you nailed it, Alexandra.
Oh, thank you so much. Really wanted a book that was packed with information, no extraneous fluff, and just really fun for people to read. And I wanted a book because so many business books, people don't read the whole book. Maybe they'll start it, then they kind of skim around. Like, I wanted a book that people would want to read every page.
And in my case, I listened to every page, and the person who you had read it just was positive it was you until I researched and found out it was actually an actress. And she read it with the kind of affect that you'd want. Anyway, it's unputdownable. It's pretty much, you're going to listen to it in one listen and you're going to finish it for sure. And I want to get into your backstory. How did you get into naming things?
Well, for the first half of my career, I was an advertising copywriter. And every once in a while, I would get thrown a bone and get to name something. And I love naming. And I was good at it. And I had no idea that naming was a profession. So when I finally figured that out 16 years into my copywriting career, I switched gears, got out of advertising, got into branding, and became a namer.
I love it. And behind you, folks who cannot see her right now, she has a California license plate that says namer appropriately, which just makes me smile. I imagine that if you were to have a pint of cider with William Shakespeare, you would take issue with the idea that a rose by any other name would still smell just as sweet, because the name is really important. And I'm wondering if you could tell my listeners, why is it so important that you choose a good name for your mission, for your corporation, for your project, even for perhaps the room in which you have meetings?
Right, your conference room. Yeah, because, for your brand, then your name makes a really valuable first impression, right? And that's often the first thing people see when they come in contact with your business. They see it, they hear it, maybe somebody's talking about you, but your name will last longer than any other investment you make in your business. And that's why it's important that you get it right.
I'm thinking about the concept that we use in research called face validity, that you want to look at the name of a thing and not find yourself scratching your head. And it's funny to even use the word scratch because you use the acronym SMILE and SCRATCH. The SMILE is an acronym for what makes a brand good, and SCRATCH is what makes a brand sound really bad. And I was wondering if you could unpack what is SMILE and what is SCRATCH.
Sure. So in the SMILE and SCRATCH test is based on my philosophy that a name should make you smile instead of scratch your head. When I wrote my book, I was living in San Francisco, and there's a lot of tech companies there with names that are total head scratchers. So that's where that came from. Adam, I know that you're familiar with a lot of those.
There's some real garbage names out there, but yes.
Yeah,
there's some good ones.
Yeah, but there's some bad ones, but a lot. Okay. And for all your listeners, I want to apologize in advance because after they learn the smiling scratch test, they're going to look at names in a whole new way and they're going to curse me because I have enlightened them. And so suddenly things that they didn't even notice or didn't bother them before will bother them.
But please don't kill the messenger, folks. She's just the messenger.
That's a sign of a good book. And that's when my publisher after my publisher read my book, or my editor, he said, that's the sign of a good book if it changes somebody's mind. And so that's when he said he was positive it was a really good book. But yeah, so SMILE is, like you said, an acronym for what makes a name good or awesome, as I like to say. So the S stands for suggestive, and you want your name to suggest a positive brand experience or something about what your brand is or does. Don't make people but guess. Don't make your name ambiguous. The M in SMILE stands for memorable. And everyone says, I want a name that's memorable, but what makes the name memorable? What it is actually has been proven. If something already exists in your knowledge base, it's going to be easier for you to remember because your brain has something to latch onto. So for instance, the bike lock company, Kryptonite, we all know Kryptonite from Superman, right? And that's a metaphorical name because we know Kryptonite repels Superman. Therefore, Kryptonite bike locks will repel bike thieves.
Love that name, by the way. I remember first hearing about the Kryptonite lock and thinking, I want one.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite names. That, I'd say it's in the top two. My other favorite name is also a bike. Bike companies have great names. And this is a bike pump, and it's named Joe Blow.
I'm laughing already because I knew it's one of your favorites of all time.
Yeah, it's such a good name.
So
such a good name.
I actually own a Joe Blow pump.
Do you really?
I really do.
Wow. That's where if I was shopping for bike pumps and I saw there was one named Joe Blow and one called something else, but Joe Blow costs a little bit more, I would still buy Joe Blow. And that's the power of a great name, right? People will pay more. There's a mosquito zapper, bug zapper, fly zapper, and it looks like a squash racket, which I love because you're squashing bugs. But you're actually electrocuting them, but to be technical about it. But it's named the Executioner, right?
Oh my gosh.
And that name is so strong versus like Bug Quick Zap or Electo or these other zapper names. So yeah, that's one, like I paid more for that because I wanted to have the Executioner.
That's right? Absolutely brilliant. And I'm thinking about even TV shows and well-named TV shows like Friends. Great name. You know exactly what it's going to be about versus say Suddenly Susan,
or The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Good name.
Okay, no, The Marvelous Mrs.
That's not
Maisel.
good?
I didn't. How would you know it was about this Midge Maisel, this really sassy Jewish comedian in the 50s?
I was all in as soon as I heard
the
name.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it reminded me of Mrs. Doubtfire. And I'm like, I don't want to see some frumpy old. I thought it sounded like a maid.
Well, this is the first time you and I have had any form of a difference of opinion because I agreed with everything in your book.
No, that's good though. You thought it was a good name because maybe they tested it on audiences.
Yeah. But, Suddenly Susan actually felt like, or Caroline in the City, Sex in the City I was down with, but Caroline in the City I wasn't so sure. Even though I watched both of the shows, but I never really got or really felt the names as much as I felt like Seinfeld. Well, I know what that's about. Friends. Lost. Great name.
Yeah.
But back to you. So M stands for not
memorable,
meaningful because it used to be meaningful, but now it's memorable.
Right. I changed it.
You shifted on that one, which I thought was cool.
Yeah. I changed it just because there was a little repetitive with like the opposite in Scratch. So I made it memorable. And then the I in SMILE stands for imagery. And an example of that, I just said the Executioner. When I say the Executioner, you can picture one in your head and that will help with recall later. Again, helping with memory, making your name memorable. The L in SMILE stands for legs, and legs means that your name lends itself to a theme. So for instance, my company, Eat My Words, we have, our blog is called The Kitchen Sink. We have a menu of services. One of our services that I just launched is called Fun Size, like the Halloween candy. So, and we have, supermarket special. So you can have a lot of fun with your name if it has legs and you can really extend the brand that way.
My words is so memorable and so funny.
Thank you. Well, every time someone compliments me on the name of my company, which is basically every time I tell someone the name of my company, I always think, oh, that's good because I'm a naming firm and you want to have a good name. But you'd be surprised. A lot of naming firms don't have great names. And it's like, really, if that's the best they can do for themselves, how are they going to do for their clients?
Oh my gosh, that does not bode well.
No.
Yeah, I would not want to hire a dentist with crap teeth, let alone, yeah.
No, it's the same, right? Or a stylist with a bad haircut.
Right.
And then the E in SMILE stands for emotional. And it's really important that your name makes an emotional connection with your audience or it's going to go right over their head. So an example that I love is a GPS for dogs that we name Retriever.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah. And when you hear it, you get it. And that's the thing. People want to feel clued in, not clueless. So when I say a name should make you smile instead of scratch your head, it doesn't need to make you laugh, but it just needs, it can create a smile in the mind. If people get it, and if it is a fun name like a Retriever, those are the names that people tweet and repeat and talk about, right? So that's why having a clever name or a fun name can really be a huge advantage for you.
And I love that you also talked about Amazon as being a really good name.
Yeah, Amazon is a great suggestive name. It's a metaphor. When Jeff Bezos was naming it, he envisioned Amazon being something really big. And if you've been to the Amazon, I've been to the Peruvian Amazon, it is very big with lots of tributaries. So that was a good metaphor. I'm a huge fan of metaphorical names. That's where people get, oh, I get it. People like that. Again, they want to feel smart.
And that's a really important point because one of the greatest ways to lose an audience is to make them feel stupid. Not a good move. And even point out, in spite of the fact that the brand has success, the name Prana doesn't necessarily lend itself to making another person feel smart, let alone the way they've spelled it. And it's a little confusing on the surface.
Oh, does Prana normally have an H in it?
I don't know how Prana is actually spelled, but all I can say is did find the logo to be difficult to read and a little confusing, and not in a good way, like where I felt engaged or like, I want to know more. But I do like the clothing line quite a bit. I've bought Prana goods and they're great. But something like Lululemon, that just like pops and just makes me happy, even though it seems to have nothing to do with lemons.
It's fun to say, though. You're right. Lululemon. People enjoy saying that. Yeah, totally. When you have a name like that. Well, Super Psyched is one of those names. It's just fun to say.
I'm so glad I passed the SMILE test. Now let's, by contrast, go with the scratch test.
Okay. So scratch is when to scratch it off the list if it makes you scratch your head. And I have to tell you, on our website, eatmywords.com, you can test your name for free through the Smile and Scratch test. It's an interactive test and it walks you through. And I see everybody's answers because you put in your email at the end and you get your results and I see how you answered. And people just are not honest with spelling. The S in Scratch is spelling challenge. And people, oh no, it's not spelling challenge. Look, if your name has a number in the middle of it, it's spelling challenge. So yeah, like you may know how to spell it, but when somebody hears your name, they have to know how to spell it when they hear it. It needs to be intuitive. If your name looks like a typo, scratch it off the list. That's probably the easiest way to remember spelling challenge. And then the first C in Scratch stands for copycat. Copycat. Remember as a kid, copycat. Like, nobody likes a copycat, right? Mm-hmm. We learned that as in elementary school. Yet so many people do copy other names. And why be somebody else when you can be yourself? So don't be a copycat. Don't try to ride on somebody else's coattails. Be true to yourself and be original. And also when you're a copycat, you open yourself up to trademark infringement. And you definitely don't want to go there. Do not want to get a cease and desist letter.
You've even described this as some people have invested tens of thousands or more dollars only to discover that they were a copycat. So you really recommend that people check that out on USPTO to find out, is this patented or trademarked in any way, shape, or form, lest you engage in some high expense naming process only to find out, oh, can't do it.
Yeah, and go beyond USPTO. I mean, you can do your original research there, but have an attorney file your trademark for you unless you're comfortable doing that on your own. But they will look deeper than USPTO and highly recommend that. And the R in Scratch stands for restrictive. And that is where you outgrow your name.
Mm.
One of my favorite examples of this is an app named Hotel Tonight. And it started out where hotels have unsold rooms, so they offer them at a discount to Hotel Tonight. They pass it on to their consumer. So originally you could just get a hotel for the night. Great idea. You know, you miss your flight or you're delayed or you meet someone at a club. I mean, who knows what nefarious reasons people were using it for. But then they decided that, oh, well, we should go beyond tonight. And so now you can reserve a hotel room up to 365 days in advance. So they outgrew their name. Now, I think a better name for them would have been Get a Room, because
that is so good.
Thank you.
Oh my God. That's so used in the vernacular. Get a room.
Yeah, Get a Room. Yep. And it works 365 days a year. It's cheeky. And it's one of those cheeky names. So my favorite kind of cheeky names are ones where like a kid could see it and not know that it was kind of naughty. And that's one of those Get a Room. It looks perfectly innocent. You know, adults know like there could be some hanky panky going on. Hanky panky is a good name for something.
It's got to be.
You know what a good name is? That I wrote it down the other day, Weed Whacker. It's fun to say. And it's
100%.
also made the process of like getting rid of weeds fun. You're going to use your Weed Whacker.
100%. I mean, whack-a-mole. I mean, things like that are fun to say. Weed Whacker. Fantastic.
Yeah. You know, I'm thinking like Joe Blow. That could also be the name of a leaf blower.
Great point.
Yeah. It's
so
not.
Maybe they need to expand.
Yeah. It's a completely different trademark class. So I have no idea what category leaf blowers fall under, but I know it's not going to be the same as a bike pump.
How great would it be to have an air conditioner called Joe Blow?
Yeah, that would be really good.
Or a hair dryer,
a fan. Yeah, there's all kinds of things.
Oh my gosh. Alexandra, I mean, you are so fun. I can't even stand it. It just makes me happy. So what else is there in the Scratch acronym?
The A in Scratch stands for annoying. And annoying is when your name frustrates people. So big source of frustration, I think, is ambiguous names, right? So Orange Theory, what does that even mean? Like I thought it was the juice bar for the longest time. And another one is this lingerie company called Third Love. What does that even mean? And I always ask whenever I go speak, I always ask people, what do you think that means? And I usually get answers that have something to do with sex. But the founder of Third Love said that they like that their name is ambiguous. Like, no, nothing about your business should be ambiguous. No, you need to be clear. You need to be clear. So the T in Scratch stands for tame. Tame just means that your name is really flat and boring and descriptive. An example of a tame name that is just like, this company took two of the most boring words in the English language and combined them to make one super tame name, which is Network Solutions. It just puts me to sleep, right? The word solutions just needs to be put out to pasture, right? Like, no, unless it's like a contact lens solution, let's just get rid of solutions as a name for software or anything else. But yeah, Network Solutions versus GoDaddy. Look, I will be the first to admit GoDaddy fails the Smile and Scratch test, but it's just fun to say, so I give it a pass. And yeah, every once in a while, I will give it a pass. The second C in Scratch stands for the curse of knowledge. And that's where you know what it means. Maybe your engineers know what it means, but you forget that your customers don't know what it means. And often they're foreign words. So either it's in a foreign language or it's foreign to people. Sur la table, fancy kitchen stores. They look like sur la table. That's how it's spelled, like table. And that has the curse of knowledge because people don't know how it's pronounced. So that's unfortunate. There's that kind of software company called Mzinga, Mzinga. and that it's loosely based on the Swahili word for hive. No, that's the curse of knowledge. Like, who would know that?
And this is coming from a woman who's traveled extensively. If anybody would be the person who might be in the know about Swahili.
And I do know, I've been to 50 countries on 6 continents, and Swahili truly is the only language that I've ever encountered where it's very fun and sing-songy and easy to learn. But yeah, I still wouldn't know that Mazinga. I knew how to pronounce it because I know how to pronounce other words in Swahili. But no one's going to know that. And the thing is, with names that are foreign, ambiguous, hard to pronounce, you're not going to be there to explain it to somebody. When you do have to explain your name to someone, like Mazinga, they're always having to explain the name. When you have to do that, you're essentially apologizing for it, and that devalues your brand. I've never had to apologize for Eat My Words, and I know you've never had to apologize for Supersize.
That's right.
Or explain it. Yeah, sure. I tell people, we're a naming firm, and we started out naming things that make people fat and drunk. But that's not apologizing for it. That's like getting people psyched about it. And then finally, the H in Scratch stands for hard to pronounce. We just talked about that with Sur La Top. You only want your name to be pronounced one way because, again, you would dilute your brand. If your name can be pronounced multiple ways, then you're diluting it. So you just want it to be pronounced one way.
You don't want your consumer to sound like a substitute teacher trying to pronounce a name.
That is so funny.
That is so true, though, Alexandra. And you've named some companies who have done well in spite of having a bad name. And one of the things that I'm inferring from what you're sharing is that this is just stacking the cards in favor of a better outcome. It's not a guarantee. There have been some great companies, pets.com, that have failed. Peapod, not a great name, but Webvan, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Not great.
It was descriptive.
It was good enough, but it tanked for some other reason. So it's obviously not a guarantee. But one of the things that I'm getting from you is that you're just trying to increase the likelihood of it sticking, and starts with the controllables, including a name.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, sure. And companies go out like Spoon Rocket. That was a great name for a food delivery service. I named a food delivery service Fork Stork.
That's great.
Thank you. So yeah, it's no guarantee, but if you can avoid having all of the scratch things, you're going into it with a huge running start.
100%. And I loved, by the way, I'm not giving away the book, but mentions a meeting room that is brought about by a great 30 Rock meme, the rural juror, which is like one of the funniest things I have ever heard. If you don't know about rural juror, definitely watch season 1 or season 2 of 30 Rock. It's fantastic. But if you've seen it, you definitely remember that name.
Yeah. And that was from the chapter on corporate creativity, which is really fun to read. Even if you're not naming anything, I think just that chapter of the book is hilarious. So yeah, I give a lot of suggestions for what you could name your conference rooms. And one of my themes was tongue twisters. So rural juror was on there. Yeah, but there's some really fun ones. How many of us meet in conference rooms like 29A or, named after a city or a golf course? Like you could name your conference rooms after dances, right? So you could have the electric slide, let's meet in Funky Chicken, like, 4:00 in the Hustle or Cha-Cha. Like those are fun names. I love what I do. I would be happy to go to a meeting, but look, most people don't love what they do. So anything you can do to inject some humor into their day, like meeting in a conference room. Childhood toys, I thought would be really fun too. Like, Slinky or Rock'em Sock'em.
Lincoln Logs.
Let's meet in Lincoln Logs. Let's meet in My Little Pony. When you have names like that, they foster conversations between employees. How cool would it be to be? I've been a guest in many corporate environments, and I always remember if there's cool conference rooms. Riverbed Technology names their conference rooms after fish, which is so smart, right?
With the aquatic theme, that's brilliant. And even thinking about even serious places, I don't know if this would be wise. What are your thoughts on this? Like, let's say a hospital, which is a rather serious place. And yet we also know that we can take serious things seriously while simultaneously injecting levity. I don't know if it would be imprudent to name a hospital room with a fun name, but
yes.
maybe
Marcus Welby. I would totally name them after famous TV doctors or TV shows based in hospitals. I mean, you couldn't call it ER, but St. Elsewhere.
Right. Scrubs.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Cox room. I love Dr. Cox from Scrubs.
Dr. Doolittle.
Dr. Doolittle, right. Yeah.
That would be funny. After famous doctors.
That's good.
Gotta tell you, so recently named some autonomous surface vessels for the military. And not something I would normally do, but I got to work with a bunch of Navy SEALs, so it was fun. But I used ChatGPT. They wanted names of pro-defense U.S. senators who are no longer living. Do you know how long that would take me to research? I just put that into ChatGPT and I got a big list. So famous Texans. But here you could put into ChatGPT make a list of all the TV doctors, and then it would do it and you'd be done. So ChatGPT is really good for things like that.
And since you are not AI, although you do use AI, you are what I call NI, you are naturally intelligent. And I'm wondering if you could share with my listeners a story about something that was really hard for you to name and the process that you went through to name it.
One of the hardest things I've ever named, believe it or not, was a cupcake shop. And the reason why is there were so many cupcake stores already in business. And our client was going to be shipping nationally. So I couldn't have a name that anybody else had. So yeah, we spent a lot of time on that one, just researching. Every name was taken. One of my favorite names that was taken was Hey Cupcake.
Oh, I like that.
Cupcake.
Hey,
yeah.
Cupcake.
So I was playing around with alliteration and I saw the word church and I was like, yes, the Church of Cupcakes.
Wow.
So that became the name, the Church of Cupcakes. It had great legs. The tagline was "Worshippers Welcome." The woman that owned it called herself the Church Lady. They had really fun flavor names. One of my favorites was the Vanilla Cupcake. We named the Missionary.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that one takes a minute, but you're like, I get the Missionary, really vanilla. So that was just super fun. So that was hard. So the process for coming up with names is just, sometimes they come to me in my head. I did one the other day. Nutritional supplements for volleyball players, and I came up with net gain. Boom, done. But yeah, for the most part, we're using the internet and scrubbing it, pardon the pun, to look for ideas, right? So it could be looking at stock photo images because a picture says 1,000 words, with thesaurus, obviously. We do a lot of wordplay with puns, rhyming dictionary, lots and lots of stuff with rhyming dictionaries. I was naming a blow dry bar one time and I looked up words that rhyme with blow and came up, Joe Blow. Oh my God, Joe Blow. That would be so good. Blow dry bar, Joe Blow.
How about blow hard?
Well, I came up with Chateau Blow, and that was from a rhyming dictionary. And so this is going to be in Oakland on one of the main drags.
Yep.
And the Merchants Association said, no, we are a family neighborhood. We don't want Chateau Blow because they thought it sounded like cocaine or blowjobs.
Oh.
So couldn't use blow in the name, which is unfortunate. But we named it Bounce because you bounce in, bounce out, and get some bounce in your hair. So that worked. But yeah, Chateau Blow. Also named a lot of frozen yogurt stores. And Joe Yo is one of the names I came up with using my rhyming dictionary.
Joe Yo. That's good. Oh my gosh. I've seen some badly named businesses, and not surprisingly, they did go out of business. And one of my favorite gelaterias, it was called Yago's. And I asked what it meant. And he said, yet another gelato operation. And I thought to myself, I loved this place. And I was so bummed that they came up with a name like that was not even complimentary. Yet another gelato operation. There aren't that many gelato operations, A. And
yeah.
B, I wouldn't remember that.
Yeah. So it should have had a name to match that. So when we named the frozen yogurt franchise Spoon Me, or, we named, I don't know if you know Smitten ice cream, but we named
I love Smitten ice cream.
Yeah. I named Smitten.
You did?
Yes, I did.
My kids are going to go bananas when they hear that.
Yeah. So Smitten, I'll tell you the Smitten backstory. Smitten was originally going to be called Cold Hearted. And then our client, Robin, found out that Cold Stone Creamery is very litigious. against any ice cream store that has the word cold in their name, right? And even though there would be no consumer confusion between Cold Hearted and Cold Stone, our client, as most people wouldn't, want to just spend all the time and money to fight them on it.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, like Taco John's just lost big trademark battle with Taco Bell for the right to the phrase Taco Tuesday, which is so crazy to me because in San Diego, where I live, there's Taco Tuesday at every restaurant on Tuesday. Sure. And there's even Taco Thursday. But they lost that battle to Taco Bell. They just couldn't fight it anymore. And a lot of times people just can't fight the fight. So that was off the list. So then she chose another name that I love, which was Frigid. So it was going to be Frigid Fresh Ice Cream because it's made with liquid nitrogen, fresh ice cream. And Robin's dad used to always say, don't get fresh with me. She loved it for that reason. And then we did the t-shirt, which is going to be Not Tonight, Dear. I have an ice cream headache. So yeah, but then I don't know. She got cold feet on the name. I don't know if it was one person that she asked or whatever, but she decided not to do Frigid. So then she chose another name off the list, which was Smitten, and killed me because I love the name Frigid. But so many people told me like, oh, that's my kid's favorite ice cream. So then I thought, okay, Smitten's probably the better name than Frigid. But
I like it a lot because I'm smitten with ice cream in general. So it's a perfect name. I even have an entire podcast episode dedicated to the love of ice cream. With a woman who traveled the country just to explore the history of ice cream. And I'm smitten with ice cream 100%. So I'm also therefore smitten with the name. So good on ya, sister. Is there anything I should have asked but haven't yet?
Yeah. What's the biggest mistake people make when they're coming up with a name?
Please.
The biggest mistake people make is going to GoDaddy first and looking for a domain name. You do not need to go there first. Go there last. We do. First, come up with a conceptual name that passes the smile and scratch test. Get it, have your trademark work done, then worry about the domain name. It's totally acceptable to add a modifier word. So for instance, if couldn't have gotten my words naming.com or my words brandnames.com, when you add a modifier like that, it actually helps with search engine optimization. You can also put something at the front. So it could have been, hello, eat my words. Mm-hmm. We are eat my words. You can totally have domain name that's doesn't even contain your name. So my favorite example is a smoked turkey company, and their name is Greenberg Smoked Turkey. It's not a memorable name at all, or even a great name. It's a family name, but their domain name is unforgettable, and it's gobblegobble.com.
That's amazing. Well, I love this so much, and I'm going to ask you my final and magical question, and that is, Alexandra, if you had the magical powers to confer upon all humanity, one skill or insight that would dramatically improve the quality of life of the individual and perhaps even society at large, what would that insight or skill be? And how do you imagine it would impact the individual as well as perhaps even society at large?
That's a great question. I would say surround yourself with color and toys and things that bring you joy, like I do. When I moved into my office here in our pool house, I turned the pool house into the office. Had gray floor, that popular gray floor, and it sucked the life out of me. It just was so uninspired. So I had these really colorful carpet tiles put in. I'm surrounded by color, and it just makes the biggest difference. Paint a wall in your house, paint an accent wall. My desk looks like a purple Easter egg. Just color and toys and things that bring you joy and happiness. Surround yourself with those things, and you will be a better human being.
That is brilliant. And as if you've taken a page out of Marie Kondo's work of just keep those things that bring you sparks of joy. What you cannot see, listener, is Alexandra's amazing former pool house. And that is, by the way, Kato Kalin is not there. I couldn't resist. Sorry. Good 90s reference to a pool house. But she gave me a little tour beforehand. It's almost as if Pee Wee Herman himself put in splashes of color and hilarity everywhere. And yet it's perfect for your brand. It's a perfect complement to everything that you do as a namer. So anyway, I love your advice and I love what you shared with my listeners on this episode. Thank you so much, Alexandra, for sharing your hard-earned wisdom.
Oh, thank you.
This is Dr. Adam Dorsey thanking you for listening to Super Psyched. If you know anyone who might like it or who might benefit from listening, share it. And if you like the episode, please hit subscribe